Welcome to PVLA English 11-12. I'm Beth McCormick, your child's English teacher. This is my 32nd year teaching English at Portland High School. And wow, this year has had more new experiences and more challenges than I think any other year that I've ever taught. I'm sure you're well aware of that because this has been a challenging year already for parents, for students, and for teachers alike as we all try to learn to navigate the virtual classroom. I wanted to stress at the beginning of this presentation that I'm here to help your child, to support them, and to assist them in any challenges that they may face throughout their learning this year. If they're struggling with content, if they're struggling with the concept of learning from home, if they're struggling with technology, please encourage them to reach out to me, or you should feel comfortable reaching out to me as well. And I will do everything in my power to help them, to support them, or to find the answer if I can't answer a question for them. Now, with regard to content of this class, because it is a combined 11-12 class, we are using the Common Core Connecticut State Standards for the upper grades 11 and 12, which means that the students will be reading a variety of texts of varying complexities, and they'll be analyzing those texts. We've already begun that. We've been reading a number of short stories, and we will continue to do that for the next few weeks in class. Students will also be writing about the text that we're reading, and they'll be writing more personal pieces about themselves as well, which will allow them to develop their own style and their own voice in their writing. Not a day goes by. I see the students 3 times a week, Mondays and Thursdays and Wednesday mornings, first thing in the morning. And not a day goes by where I don't have them reading and writing and submitting pieces to me for my review. Now, another skill that I want to stress with students is oral communication skills. And I'll admit that's a little bit more difficult to do in a virtual classroom. It's not as natural having a conversation since you're staring at a computer screen and you can't really read the room and you have to lean forward to unmute yourself every time you want to speak. So it can be somewhat awkward and doesn't feel as comfortable as when you're in a classroom, with live students surrounding you. But it's a skill I don't want the students to lose. So it's something that I'm going to encourage them to do on a weekly basis. And one of the ways I've started to do that is by posing a question to them each week. It's a different question. For instance, this week I've asked them what character in the various literature that they've read, middle school and high school, what character stands out to them from one of the books they've read as an interesting character and why? And then on Thursday, I have them share that answer. So each one of them has to speak for a couple of minutes and express themselves in front of the group. That way, they all hear each other's thoughts and opinions, and they can continue to work on their communication skills. Now, that's another unit that I'm going to develop this year with this class as well, because they are juniors and seniors and they are getting ready to embark on the next stages of their life. So I want to introduce them to some real world writing and speaking skills. I'm going to work with them on how do you make a good first impression? How do you write a professional email? How do you develop a resume and a personal statement? And how do you learn to communicate with others? So that's a unit that we're going to be exploring a little bit later this semester. Now, I'm hoping at this point that you or your child was able to stop by the school last week and get the bag of supplies that's been set aside for them. Their PVLA teachers have filled those bags with materials that we want them to have at home. I placed 2 books in the bag. One is a book of short stories, so we can continue to read more stories. And another book is called Tuesdays with Maury. It's a memoir written by the sports writer Mitch Albom, and it's an excellent book that explores some really important life lessons, especially that I think are especially important during this tumultuous time of the pandemic. So I hope that that's a book that the students will find enlightening. I really have been enjoying working with your children so far. I've attached a frequently asked questions page to this site that I hope will give you some more information. And please feel free at any point to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns about your child's performance or learning.